Hey guys, this is Wes with Fantasy Smack Talk. Week 3 in the fantasy football season already. Going to bring y'all my favorite pivots of the week for the FanDuel Sunday $1 Million Tournament. Trying to be different here, trying to identify chalk and find other ways to go. So these are gambles, and sometimes they're going to end up like they did last week, and I'm going to tell myself I'm okay with that. And if you haven't checked out my picks from week 2, don't. So before we get into week 3, just want to remind y'all about FanDuel. Sign up. Join one of our tournaments every week. It's fanduel.com/FST. These are only $5 tournaments, but they cap at 75 people. So log in. They'll pay out the same way any FanDuel tournament does. The only difference is you get some bragging rights against us, and the winner takes home the cool shirt. So moving into the picks, Derek Carr is my quarterback for week 1. Derek Carr is priced at $8,400. Got a great matchup against the Redskins, but had a great matchup week 1 against the Titans, in what was the highest over-under of the week, and was still only 10.4% owned. So I think guys like Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan, who are going against each other, are going to get a lot of love this week. And I think Carr's going to go forgotten again, despite the fact that he's averaging about 20 points per game so far this year in weeks 1 and 2. If he can stay below 10%, and give you 21, 22 FanDuel points against a bad Redskins defense, he's going to be on a lot of winning lineups this week and really valuable if that Atlanta-Detroit game is low scoring. So Matt Stafford 7,900 and Matt Ryan 8,500 on my chalk. Again, I think that's the highest scoring game projected on Sunday, so stay away from that one. CJ Anderson is my top pivot at running back. Anderson is $6,900 on FanDuel and was only 1% owned last week, and a really good performance against Dallas. I think people were scared away by his 20-carry, 80-yard, somewhat underwhelming performance in week 1. But what I'm looking at are the 45 carries he's had through 2 weeks. He's the guy in Denver. Jamal Charles isn't. Booker isn't. It's CJ Anderson. He's the most talented back there. They're clearly willing to feed him the ball. If he gets 23, 24 carries again this week against the Buffalo defense that is not as good as it looks on paper, and again at just 6,900 and most likely 10%, 11% owned at most, it's not going to jump up from 1 to 20. You're looking at a guy who could be really valuable for you. Chalk picks that I'm looking at running back, pretty obvious guys. Kareem Hunt, 8,300. Le'Veon Bell, 8,700. Le'Veon Bell's ownership dropped from 30% in week 1 to 10% in week 2 in this tournament. I think that'll rebound. And then Jay Ajayi at 8,200 against the Jets, I think is going to get a lot of love. Wide receiver, Adam Thielen is the guy I'm looking at as my top pivot. Only 6,000 on FanDuel. And it sounds crazy, but this guy is really one of the top boomer bust plays in the NFL at the receiver position. Obviously is a much different player with Bradford. Bradford wasn't in last week. I'm not going to be the only one who notices this, but there are going to be some who overlook him, and some who forget about his 9-catch, 157-yard performance in week 1. More importantly, last year in week 16 with Sam Bradford under center, he had over 200 yards. So him and Sam Bradford pretty much intertwined at this point. Sam Bradford's resurgence has coincided with Thielen's emergence almost directly. So 3 of the last 5 games that Bradford's been under center, Thielen has over 100 yards. Even with the $6,000 price tag and even with Bradford back, theoretically, obviously this pick is contingent on Bradford returning. I can't see Thielen exceeding 10% on FanDuel, so should be really valuable there. And in a tournament like this, having a boom or bust guy like Thielen who can go for 100, 150, even 200 yards on any given week is really, really valuable. My chalk that I'm thinking at wide receiver, the obvious guys, Brown and Jones. Julio was owned at 30% last week. It'll probably go down a little, closer to 23, 24, 25 this week. Antonio Brown was only 15 last week against in a tough matchup against Minnesota, but I think that rebounds this week in a really good matchup for the Steelers. So look for them both to be around 25%, and good plays for each, but definitely not different. Finally, tight end, Colby Fleener is my guy. 5,700 on FanDuel. His ownership should be around 7 or 8% against Carolina, because Carolina has given up a total of 6 points in its 2 games, 6 points total, with pretty bad opponents though. So if you're looking at it and not looking deep, that scary, and their defense should be respected. But going against San Francisco and Buffalo, not anything overly impressive there. So Fleener obviously has a pretty good relationship with Breeze, pretty good rapport on the field. Scored twice late in the game in week 1 and week 2. Fleener has, so he's a guy who, in a format like this, when there's not a lot of great tight end options this week with a lot of guys banged up, Fleener, if he could grab 6 or 7 passes and catch a touchdown at that $5,700 price tag, and hopefully around 10% ownership, he'll be really valuable. A chalk, finally, that I'm looking at a tight end. Travis Kelce is the #1 chalk play, $7,100 on FanDuel. But the key with him is that he's the only elite level tight end without any injury questions this week. Gronk has him, probably play, but who knows? He'll definitely scare some people away because of that. And obviously Greg Olsen going down with that foot fracture, and Jimmy Graham just being nowhere for the Seahawks. So Kelsey's the guy that I think a lot of people will be on, and also Jack Doyle. People are going to think they're cute playing Jack Doyle without Andrew Luck back, but 5,300, I think a lot of people are going to be on that, and they probably should be. So he's a great quarterback. He's proved it. Or he's a great tight end, and he's proved it without a great quarterback. So again, 5,300 for Doyle is a good play, but it's going to be a popular play. That'll do it for week 3. We'll talk to you guys in week 4.